Hey, Easy Agent Proers, welcome to the show today. We are talking with Wade Webb. He's the author of The Lazy Realtor. You can find that on Amazon. He's been coaching for a very long time through agentsboost.com. You can find him there. And really excited to have him on the show today. He's spoken a lot to agents on building systems in their business that sort of promote the people that already like them, that already follow them, to do more business with them, sort of authors of high-touch systems that you can use in your business to get clients to do more business with you. So I'm excited to have him on the show and to sort of break down what all that means and how you can put that into practice in your own business so that the leads you have, the contacts you have, the clients you have actually end up being more valuable to you in the future. So without further ado, here's Wade.
Hey, thanks, Tyler. Thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, no problem. Did I get that all right? Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, at the end of the day, right now with our coaching and with our materials and that, we're really trying to just re-emphasize. It's amazing to me that when I coach top producers, we always do an analysis on where their business comes from. And 50, 60, 70, 80, sometimes 90% of top producing agents get their business from past clients, personal referrals, and that. And then the irony of it all is that we know that all that business and that massive amount of stuff is coming from that source. And then I ask them, so what do you do? Like, what do you do to, add value to those people, to continue to foster that and honor that kind of business and that? And they're like, well, I give them a calendar, or I'll buy coffee once in a while. And I'm like thinking, really? And then the funny part is that this also amazes me that so many agents that I coach and teach and train, they say, that's my customer. That's one of my A clients, and they went and used another real estate agent. Can you believe it, right? And the irony of it is that, so in your mind, that's an A customer in your business, right? So I use the analogy, it's like that's a first class passenger in your airline. And I'm just wondering, like, how and what do you do intentionally to make them feel like they're an A? Right. And they're, again, well, I give them a calendar, I do this and that, right. And I'm like, really? So that's how you treat an A-class passenger, first-class passenger in your airline. And I'm thinking they're not even in the coach area of your plane. They're kind of sitting where the pets and all the luggage are on the plane and not even remotely anywhere close. So the reality is that we are so busy trying to find strangers, people, leads, whatever we can. I mean, we can just buy them if we want. And the reality is that so many of us have so much business sitting right there at your fingertips that are past clients, that are people that know and like you and trust you. And the reality is that we are not treating them like an A. We think they're an A, and they're feeling like they're an F or a G or a Z, if that makes sense, right?
So that seems like a good, especially that airline analogy. So diving into that, what do you recommend people doing, or what are some of the core practices you immediately put into principle to turn those people who feel like they're sitting in coach into people that are sitting in first class? Or like, what are the systems you build? What are the ways you implement that so that realtors are, attentive to those details that they need to be?
Right. So somebody new or experienced, it doesn't matter. I always have to start, the first point is that, do you have it assembled? Like, have you gone and pulled your old files? Have you gone that? So the first step in the first process is that you've got to figure out who it is that you're going to talk to. So that's the who component. So figuring out, so I say, pull your past client files, go onto your phone contacts, go into your social media contacts, go into your email contact list, and that. Like, go and look at all of those different areas and all those different sources of customers and people that already know and like and trust you and been doing business with you for all these years, and get them assembled, and then put them into one place. And then the next question is just amazing me, is that, well, what contact management system should I put them into, Wade? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. My answer to that question is, it's the contact management system that you're actually going to, wait for it, use. And they're like, oh, right. And so I say to people, get over the CRM system, put it into Excel. Yes, Excel. Put it into Excel. Put the name, their address, their phone number, put it into Excel because Excel or Outlook or whatever is
Right.
free. And secondly, they can all be mail merged and CSV filed into a CRM system when you're going to actually use that CRM system. So let's not even worry about the CRM. So first point is put it in, assemble it. Second point, just put it into Excel, put it in Outlook. After that, I was looking at it, just doing a blog post and looking at these numbers of companies and businesses and services, and they were all looking at the number of touches that were required. And it was interesting to me. The statistic in the report was saying, I think it was from Spot On, and Spot On was the source of the data. And they said, Spot On said that the minimum amount of touches that a company, a business, a service provider would be 2 to 3 a month. And when I talk to agents, they're like, "Oh man, I haven't done 2 or 3 a
A
year,"
year,
right?
right?
And so the reality is that if a company, a business, or a service wants to really add value and really be top of mind and make somebody feel like they're an A customer, you have to have. They're saying, and I believe this, 2 or 3 touches a month, you guys,
Yeah.
right? And then the reality is that the other number they reported, which I thought was crazy, Tyler, is that they actually said that you're getting to be like borderline stalker and annoying at guess how many touches? 13 touches a month. So too much is 13 and too little is 2 or 3. And so I don't know most agents that even do that a year or maybe even they're in their career with most of their customers. So I'm going to encourage you guys that you have to build a plan that has at least 2 touches a month, is what I'm saying to most people that I'm
Hmm.
teaching and coaching. And believe it or not, you can't overtouch them until you touch them 13 different ways in a month. So I don't know of any agent that's actually communicating or touching or doing any business with their clients 13 times over 13 times a month. And if there are, I'd love to hear from them. If they are, that's amazing. But the reality is that, so if we know we've got 2 touches a month, you guys in 2016, in order to finish your year strong and to make these people feel like they're going to be first class passengers, what are you going to do in 2016 and calendar it and decide what it is, and so decide how you're going to communicate with them, what you're going to communicate to them, and when you're going to communicate to them, and build that plan and build that system for 2016. And then the reality is that you know that you cannot fail if you assemble the people that you already know, like, and trust. If you add value to them, you believe in them, and you communicate with them and do that in 2016. The stats say 3 to 5 times more referrals and sales
Hmm.
for a company and a business and a service provider to do that. So imagine tripling your income. Don't hold me to this, but imagine 3 to 5 times more actual solid high quality referral businesses for listings and sales if you just implemented 24 touches in 2016 for the people that already know, like, and trust you, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. But let's dive into like those 24 touches, because
Yeah,
like if you're just sending 24 text messages to a person, I imagine it's not that valuable, right?
correct.
So
Correct.
like let's break that down into what those 24 might be. Do you have a standard staple you give out, or you like to refer back to, or does it sort of depend on the agent?
So what I suggest is that let's be creative and let's
Mhm.
mix those up. So we're going to mail them, right?
Right.
We're going to video them, right? We're going to video email them. We're going to text them. We're going to communicate with them one time or sometime on social media platforms. So you could Facebook message them, right? One of the best tips I'll give somebody right here is Facebook messaging is just personal message somebody on Facebook. How's biz? How's work?
Yeah.
like like they're going to respond, work's great, how's your biz, how's your work, right? Like that's the simplest Facebook communication message tactic to be able to be conversing with about real estate with your friends and family and people that are in, just by starting the message that, hey, how's your business, or how's work, or how's things, right? They'll respond and ask you how the market is and how your business is and how your work. So there's one touch there. Having a client event, actually doing coffees, actually doing lunches, actually picking up the phone and calling them. What a novel
Calling people,
concept.
yeah.
So much call reluctancy in our business. And so for those of you out there, if you're call reluctant, look at Slide Dial. You can actually call all your customers, and Slide Dial will automatically get you to their voicemail.
Yep.
So phew, I didn't have to actually talk to them. That's
Didn't
awesome.
have to talk
Right?
to a
I
human
didn't have
being
to
for that,
talk to my
yeah.
clients. I just leave them a message. So for those call reluctant people, you can just pick up Slide Dial. So, I'm trying to be creative, and I'm trying to use different communication methods and different means. And then I decide what's the best message for that type of medium or
Hmm.
communication message. And so there's, a dozen that'll get you started with those 24 touches. But, that just, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity. So don't be sending 12, 24 touches of the same message, the
Right.
same methodology, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so with that messaging, those messages, how often do you ask for the referral or ask for more business versus just providing value? How do you weigh those two things?
That's a great question. So for me, I'm a firm believer, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Sure.
right. So I think it's when you ask, I believe it's more of an afterthought, because you don't want it to come across that the only reason why you're there is for personal gain. People can
Hmm.
smell that and tell that a mile away, right? So at the end of the day, my focus is to add value to you, give you my gift of my time, my touch, my talent, like to be able to do that for you, and then the last thing I'm going to do is, as an afterthought, is just saying, hey, you know what? I think there's two things that are important to your question there. And number one is, you always need to remind people or educate people how they can refer you business. So you always, I think, need to let people know that give me a call or give me a text or just give me a shout with their name and number, and I will follow them up and give them excellent service, right? So always educating people how that process works. It doesn't work where, here, give them my card and remember to have my card on you and give it to them at a dinner party, and that's never going to happen, right?
Right.
So I'm always taking the time to let them know and remind and educate them how they can give me that referral, if that makes sense. And then the second part of it is that it needs to be in a great, polite, and gratitude method. So, I'd be humbled and honored if anybody ever thinks about buying and selling, that I'd love to work with other great people like yourself, Tyler. So, hey, if you do come across some of the cool people like yourself that you relate to see on a daily basis, please just keep me in mind. Give me a shout with their name and
Hmm.
number, and I'll follow them up and give them excellent service, right? So I'm doing it that I would be honored and privileged to be invited into your sphere of influence, the people that are just like you, because people that are cool people tend to hang out with other cool people.
Right.
People that are not so cool tend to hang out with not so cool people. So I don't ask for referrals from people that I don't resonate and want to do business with.
Hmm.
Asking for it, and asking for it as an afterthought, and educating them on how they can give you the referral, I think, are important in that particular situation.
Right. And so to you, it's all about finding ways to provide the value or those touches that then make it easy to transition to some sort of ask. So is every one of those 24 asks about referrals, or is it or do you sprinkle other things in there too?
Yeah, so I'm at the end of the day, I think you're there to add value,
Hmm.
right? And you believe, and I'm a big believer and a proponent of reciprocity, right? If you give and you give value,
Right.
right, you will get back in
So what are
return.
some ways, like, let's say they're gonna just call and ask for referrals, but like what would you say, stop, this is one way you could provide way more value than the 10 other realtors trying to call that same person. Like, what would you tell that agent to do?
So for some of the things you have to, one of the things I find incredibly amazing is that most agents don't think like a customer or a
Hmm.
consumer. They think like a real estate agent. So when they're providing the content or providing the stuff, they're providing stuff that they think they want, and the reality is they don't want
Right.
it at all, and they don't see any value, right? So put yourself in those particular people's shoes, right? So here's one simple thing that I would do for one of my touches, and I recommend this all the time, is that in January, the first thing I always do is I always let people know that I call it the best year ever, right? So you can do a video, or you can do a letter, or you can and let people know that you had a great year in real estate and that you had a great year. But the whole premise around that whole entire thing is to let them know that how grateful I am, how appreciative I am, how humbled I am, and how my success wouldn't have been possible without people like them. And so thank you for your support. Thank you for being a part and being confident in who I am and and I am grateful and I'm humble for that. And I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you and I appreciate your faith in me and your real estate and with your friends, your family. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to be a part of that. And so that's the kind of message I'd always open my calendar year with, and that would be something that you could do. Another thing too is that here where I'm from, we have our property tax notices come out in January as well. So the next thing I would do is the middle of the month, I would let them know I have a booklet that allows them to the step-by-step process of how to appeal their property tax assessment notices, right?
Cool.
So I call it a tax fighter kit. So my best year ever and my humbled and grateful message will go out, and then on the 15th I'll give you a step-by-step program or a booklet.
That's really cool. That's a
how you could appeal your property tax assessment notices in January, and that I think both of those things are perfect examples of how I'm adding value and how I'm knowing people that they're important and that I care. And at that particular, it's a whole different approach where it's not about you and it isn't about you, it's about them and how I can add value in their lives and what they're going with. And so you have to think about strategically what they could use and what they need and require at that particular time of the year.
So are those emails you send out, or do you send actual letters with, anything attached, or what do you usually do?
So my best year ever, that message could be a video message, it could be an email message, it could be a hard copy letter message. You could choose any one of those formats. The tax fighter kit could be the actual booklet itself. It could be a video explaining the process and how to fight your tax assessment, or it could be a PDF email as well, right? So again, you determine your audience, you determine your demographic, you determine the best methodology of doing it. For me, if I can put me into it, I would choose to do the video stuff or the face-to-face stuff versus relying on communication methods that could be easily misconstrued or not come across with other components of communication. That makes sense, right? Yeah. So I'm always gonna choose ways in which people can hear or see or feel me versus ways in which they could easily just get lost in the communication method.
Right. Yeah. Emails are so cheap. Texts are so cheap. I mean, you need them when you're doing lead conversion, but it's so cheap these days. Cool. So yeah, let's transition a little bit. You wrote a book a while back, The Lazy Realtor. What inspired you to write it?
So, funny enough, when you go out and you're a coach and you're a coach and a mentor and a speaker and a trainer, all of the experts tell you have to have product. And that I'm like, okay, so what do you mean by product? And they're like, well, you need a book or you need videos or you need this product and that. So I have to be honest with you. I shared with you earlier, I can talk a dog off a meat wagon and I can talk till the cows come home, but I'm just not a writer. So that whole journey of writing that book was more of you know what, I looked at it as my opportunity to tell my story and my journey of what I went through and all of the difficulties in that. And if I had somebody who was willing to tell me what to do and what not to do early in my career, that was what I was hoping the goal was for that book, if that makes sense. So it was my way of being able to give back to the industry of these are the things and the lessons and the principles that I wish somebody would have taken the time to teach me. And cool thing about it is that with people emailing me, calling me, and getting back to it and saying, I think I've done that. People always say, I just really appreciate when I read your book. It just resonated with me.
What's their favorite principle or the one you hear back about the most?
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the people, and one of the things I think is one of the biggest challenges, the money principle. So, like a lot of people, I know as a broker owner and a manager and as a coach in that we are not taught the money principles, right? So if you read the books like Richest Man in Babylon and things like that, one of the biggest things I think that are demises of real estate professionals is the financial side of things. And so I did share the story about, I'll be honest, I'll share it quickly in this video. I actually gave my paychecks. I was 21 years old selling real estate. I gave my paychecks, my commission checks to my mom, right? And I said to my mom, hold this money for me, right? So I don't spend it. I'm 21. I'm going to go out and just piddle it all away. So one of the things I did was I learned that I just gave my money and put mechanisms in there so that I would be able to save it. So to
Yeah.
stop that, right? So it's right in the book, and people are like, I love it that you were willing to be that honest and transparent, that you gave your commission checks to your mom. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, that's how I built my wealth, was doing that. The second strategy was really cool is my dad taught me this, who was my mentor, was that I paid myself first. So every single time I actually wrote myself a check, two checks. At the beginning of every month, I wrote myself a check for my personal expenses and my costs, and then I
Hmm.
wrote a check for my business expenses and costs. And then I was able to just focus the rest of the month on finding people who want to buy and sell and serving
Yeah.
people and doing that. And because my personal nut was paid at the beginning of the month and my business nut was paid at the beginning of the month. And the cool part about it is how many agents have actually consistently the whole career have actually received checks. So the actual psychology of me seeing and getting two paychecks, one for my business and one for my personal expenses, I've never not had a check in
Hmm.
23 years and being in real estate. And so there's just, that does something to a self-employed commission-based salesperson's
Yeah.
mindset, is actually paying themselves and seeing checks come on a regular basis in 23 years of my career. And I thank my dad to this day for teaching me that, because I'm like, and I can tell you how it worked. It was my personal nut. I just barely made enough to be able to survive on net of $3,000 a month, right?
Right.
When I started. That number is different today. Don't get me wrong. I got three children and a family of five. So,
Yeah, it's hard to do that with
but
three children
I
like
know,
that.
right? Right. So, but I started when I was 21. It was net. So I paid the man. So I gave the taxes up, and then I took that, and it was, I think it was like $2,167.76, right?
Right.
Something like that number. And I lived on that for 7 or 8 years of my first years in real estate career. What was cool about it is that every year there was this nest egg of money there, and I was able to invest in real estate and to invest in investments and things like that and grow my wealth over the first decade of my real estate career. So it's interesting, those financial principles and saving your money and paying yourself first, and that, probably some of the best principles in the book that I wrote, and lessons that I am so grateful for, because I just know that in our industry, like, profit seems to be not a dirty word, or it's not a common thing in
Yeah.
our thing. And we spend way more than we make in this industry as real estate agents. And we have top hitters, like killer producers, who are filing for bankruptcy, divorcing, all these crazy things. And those are our role models in this industry. So,
Hmm.
I just find that from the financial standpoint, that would be probably some of the best stuff in the book that I've shared. And the lessons that I learned from my dad, and lessons that I learned from the richest man in Babylon and different things like
Right.
that, that I would really think are some of the best stuff in that book for the lazy realtor. And the funny part is that my best bud always called me an overpaid tour guide, and he always referred to as how we didn't really work that hard.
Hmm.
So I knew the title The Lazy Realtor would have to catch somebody's attention, right?
Right.
One of my favorite books of all time, and I think it's one of your questions you prepped me on, was Timothy Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Such an awesome book. And I thought, if Tim can do the 4 Hour Work Week, and you got to read it, because a friend of mine gave me the book, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I just chucked the book back, and I'm like, 4 Hour Work Week,
Yeah.
come on. Right? So I wanted my title, The Lazy Realtor, to be similar to Tim Ferriss's
That's
4 Hour
cool.
Work Week, right? So that you're like, come on, seriously, just make you curious enough to want to read it and want to buy it, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where I got the inspiration from Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week for the title of Lazy Realtor.
That's really, yeah. I was gonna ask later on, like, what's your that's really cool. Yeah, remember reading that book. I think it was college or high school, and
Yeah.
it's mind changing. Yeah, like the
Yes.
actual 4 hours of working, just
Yeah.
that never works. But
That
yeah,
book that book turned my world upside down, like made me think so much differently after I read it. It's a great book for all those agents out there. Definitely take a read. It's a must read for sure.
yeah, cool. So what is sort of like the one thing you hit on? Like everything you hit on was like things realtors need to know. But is there one thing you wish every agent who is beginning, like, they need to understand this before they get their license? What would that one thing be? I mean, you just said like 10 of
Oh,
them, so
yeah, I know. The do-over card is definitely the financial management side of things, but I
yeah.
think that at the end of the day, the biggest message, and the one thing that I think the thing for me, and the secret to my success and the secret to any agent's success, is that we are in the relationships business,
Mm,
right? And so we have to understand the value of that relationship and the responsibility of that relationship. And at the end of the day, um, my purpose, and one of the things that I know that is for me that gives me the greatest joy is to be able to help people personally and professionally in that. And so I'll tell you this story. I saw Ken Blanchard, one of my favorite authors, crazy good books, all of them that Ken Blanchard wrote. If anybody's out there, buy Ken Blanchard books. But Ken was speaking in San Francisco, and I was at NAR. And Ken's in there. He's 80 some years old. I'm in my 20s. I'm sitting in the theater, in the room, and there's thousands of agents. And this young lady gets up there and she says, "Mr. Blanchard," she says, "I'm just curious. You're in your 80s." And you're just so excited about speaking and sharing and teaching with people like that. It's amazing. Why do you do this? Why do you do it? And he said, "Young lady," he said, "you have to understand, you are in the business, one of the greatest businesses in the world. You get to provide people with shelter, their home." He said, like, it's just an amazing business that you're in. He said, if you focus on one thing and one thing only in your real estate business and your real estate career, which he focuses on and which I've taken to heart, is that if you help people get what they need in their life, you, young lady, will get in return what you want in your life tenfold, 10 times. And that principle there and what Mr. Blanchard said. So at the end of the day, honoring that relationship, my focus is how I can help and how I can serve and what I can do and what they need and what they want and how I can help them get what they need and want. And if you treat your clients and your customers and your focus is on getting what they want and what they need in your life and their life, you will get back what you want in yours tenfold. And I have been incredibly blessed because, like Agents Boost, the books and things like that, they have all been means and mechanisms for me to be able to impact people personally and professionally in doing that. And in return, it's monetarily, it's been overwhelming and incredibly amazing. And that's to be true with your real estate business is that if your focus is who can I help today and what do they need and what do they want and how can I help provide that, you will get what you need and you want. You cannot fail. Cannot.
Yeah, that's what we build our business. It's give to get is what we call it. And I mean,
it is the single most powerful tool and marketing tool in the planet. And that's what I love about you and I is because your business and your whole component about what you guys share and what you do is same with Agents Boost and Lazy Realtor. We're all about the abundance mindset. There's just so much that we can give out there and do, and you guys do such an awesome job at sharing and helping give back to the real estate community. So thank you for that. In case somebody doesn't tell you that, Tyler, thanks for what you guys do because your content's killer. And I love the analogy. Like, I don't know if you've been asked this, but people always say to me, like, "Why do you share all these good ideas and this stuff?"
I've been asked that. I get emails probably every week. Like why? But every week for sure.
Like, why do you give out all that stuff and that because we know that we'll get back, right? But the sad part is that I know that the Pareto theory lives hard and fast, right? So we know that 20% of the people we share this with will take action and take. Right, and do it, and sadly 80% won't. And so that would be the next message is that find a source like your blog or a book or a mentor or something. Anyone, anything, right? Find it. If you're in this business, find somebody, listen to them, don't question it, and do what they tell you and take action and implement, right? And that has been my secret to success. Some people, I've just seeked out the best of the best, figured out what they've done, how they do it, not question it, and just take action. And you go, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
We'd say our method with that is called 3-upping, where you find something that works, and you make it 3 times better in 3 ways, and then you do it for like 3 months, and then you add another one, right? So like every quarter, you're adding a lead source, you're making your follow up better, or you're doubling your lead conversion, whatever you want. There are 4 things you can work on in your business where you get leads, how you convert those leads, how the lifetime value of those leads, which is what you focused on a lot here, and then. What's the 4th? I forget the 4th. But if you can double those every quarter, then your business is just going to grow exponentially for the rest of your life, basically.
Yeah, I'd agree. But I mean, seek someone, some source, some person, something out, and just the businesses that never changed over the last 100 years. And listen to them, don't question it, and do it. Like Nike says, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, seriously, it's so true. And the reality is that there's a great book. Blair Singer has wrote a book called the Little Voice Mastery, and Blair Singer talks about how people have this voice in their head, and I've all these years I've just saw people's voice win. The
Mm-hmm.
voice takes over. I say the distance of success in good realtors and about is from this year to this year. And they say, well, what voice are you talking about, Tyler? What are you talking about? Like, there's no voice. And I'm like, that's the voice right there. That's questioning what voice I'm talking about. So I say to them, like, it tells you that you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not handsome enough. You're not, you don't have nice, straight enough teeth, all that voice and that. And that is the killer in our industry, is that you've got to be able to control that voice and kill that voice. So there's another great book of the Little Voice Mastery by Blair Singer. And that, so having that awareness that there's that voice, right? Whether you want it to, it's there, and to squash it and not let it win and
Right.
not let it kill you and stop you from doing what you're supposed to be doing in this business.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's a great stopping point. Where can people find more things out about you if they want to go read some of your stuff or the Lazy Realtor?
Sure. So on Agents Boost, my website blog, so I'm like you, we're constantly putting up free content all the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I post every week on Wednesdays. So you've been a great contributor, I think twice now. Thank you very much, with killer ideas and killer content. And so every Wednesday you can go on that site and there's something new every Wednesday morning, or you can subscribe on the site and you'll get emailed that content
Great.
to you, so you don't have to go to the website all the time as well. I've got free tools. I've got free stuff on there. Again, there's just so much content on your guys' site and on your business stuff and on our stuff on
Thanks. Yeah.
Agents Boost. My book is available on Amazon,
Okay.
and so there's that would be the greatest resource. In that, I mean, I've been blogging for almost 3 years now on that. So there's 3 years of free killer content on Agents Boost. Just go there and you can go through it. And I want to just share. I think that there's, like, for me, I tend to teach or coach on 10 areas. So area number one is that the plan of an agent having a plan. Area number two is on database. So I think all agents need three databases. They have to have their sphere database, their center of influence,
Mm-hmm.
their agent to agent referral database, which has been a huge lead source for me and income source for my career. And the third one is your leads, your prospects, right? Your third one. Then I think you need to know how to create systems and have systems in place. Then I think you need to know what to say and how to say it, so scripts and dialogues, right? And I get that you don't want to sound canned and you don't want to sound that, but holy cow, you have to know what to say and how to say it. Then to convert the appointment. If you can't convert the lead and you can't convert the appointment, you don't know how to do that, then it's useless, right? And then I think you need to focus on lead generation and how do you make it rain. All agents should have a minimum of 6 lead generation funnels.
Mm-hmm.
For those out there listening, 6 lead generation funnels is the minimum. Top producers will have anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 funnel sources of lead sources in that. They need to know how to do sales presentations. So if you do not know how to be a sales presentation for a buyer or a seller or a pricing situation and what to say and how to say it, your success is not going to be good at all. Then the next one is that you have to know how to handle objections, stalls, and conditions. You need to know how to play the game and negotiate. And that's the high of our business, is playing the game and negotiating. And you need to know how to counsel. This is a business of people, so
Right.
counseling is huge. I wish I had a psych degree, but knowing how to seller counselor and buyer counsel and counsel people in the psychology of people and counseling them is huge proponent of this business. And then the other proponent is the after sales service and the customer service side of things. So I'm big on what I call the critical non-essentials, and that's how we wow and awe people and deliver the unexpected to them, right? So those would be the 10 layers of what I coach and what I teach. And all of the website has blog posts on all 10 of those
That's
components
cool.
on that, on Agents Boost. And even my coaching manual is based on 10 of those things. If you look at it, I believe that the foundation and the whole fix of it is 10 different areas of the whole perspective of the real estate business. And those are 10 areas that all agents need to be proficient in, hence why it's such a tough business,
Right.
right? Right? Like, we have to be this 10 different hats, 10 different things. I have to be organized and systemized. Wow, I have to do this. I have to make it rain. I have to know what to say, how to say it. And that's why it's not for the faint of heart, this business. right? And it's not at all. But if you can find somebody that can help you with those 10 areas and help you become more proficient, and you three up them, like you said, which I love that analogy, right? You cannot fail in this business. You can't fail.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic advice. I hope people like go back and re-listen to that last like segment, because I think those 10 things are what you have to build in almost any business, but specifically real estate. That's just fantastic advice. So, thanks for your time today, Wade. We'll link
Yeah.
up all your stuff in the video so people can find it out and on our blog. And thanks again for being awesome.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks you for what you guys do too. I appreciate you guys too, Tyler.
Thanks. Have a good one,
Okay.
Wade.
Yeah. Take care.